Welcome to the presentation on data collection from the Assistive Technology Resource Center. In this session, we will discuss why and how we take data, as well as best practices for data collection during an AAC trial. Data collection is a dynamic process that informs our teaching. We start by determining what we want to know, then we begin to gather data. We then analyze, determine solutions, and make adjustments, and return to what we next want to know. What do we want to know about? What are we looking for the data to tell us? For students completing an AAC trial, the main question we are asking is this device a good fit for my student? We want to know what level of cueing or prompting is required. Is your student requiring natural cues or indirect prompts? Or do they need physical prompts? We want to know how many words the student is using. Are they using 10 to 20 core words or only one or two? What types of words are they using? Is the student only requesting, or are they protesting, gaining attention, directing activities, or commenting? In which environments is the student using the device? Are they only using the device in speech therapy or in circle time? Or is the student using their device across multiple environments, such as lunch, math, or on the bus? How many different communication partners does the student have? Are they only using their device with the speech pathologist? Or are they using the system with teachers, peers, parents, and paraprofessionals as well? Now that we've determined what we want to know, we collect data on these factors. During the AAC trial, 3 activities per day are required in multiple environments. Note the level of cue required for each target word elicited, as well as which words and communicative functions are used. After the data is collected, we begin the data analysis. Look to see if the student is becoming more independent by the level of cues required. Is the level of cueing decreasing? Also, the data could tell us if the student is more successful in certain environments, such as circle time versus lunch, certain communicative functions, such as requesting versus commenting, or with certain communication partners, such as a preferred paraprofessional versus the general education teacher. Once we have analyzed our data, we can now begin to determine solutions. Consider all of the factors previously discussed. Perhaps the student needs more practice or exposure to the system. Is aided language stimulation being provided with fidelity? It's possible that the goals need to be adjusted. If the student needs almost all physical prompts, the goal may need to be adjusted so that it is achievable for the student. Conversely, if the student is entirely independent, the goal may need to be increased or new skills can be targeted. Consider targeting longer phrases or using grammatical forms such as ing. If you are seeing discrepancies between communication partners, it may be that a team member would benefit from additional training. Consider having another knowledgeable staff member work with them at the school level or reach out to the ATRC for additional support. After solutions are determined, the plan is adjusted. We might target new words, new environments, or new communicative functions. We might expand the length of utterance, try new communication partners, or attempt new strategies such as sabotage to elicit new targets. Please be aware that though the focus of this video is dynamic device trials, data collection should be guiding our implementation and teaching throughout the school year. Teams should already be collecting data throughout the school year on the student's performance in order to inform IEP goals, plan tiered interventions, and create lesson plans. Let's talk about how we will take data for AAC users. You have already determined the setting, the communication partner, your linguistic goal, and your social goal. On your trial plan, you have a section that looks like this, where you will have listed the student, the person taking data, the dates of the trial, the device, and the goals that you have chosen. Remember, there are 3 required activities for the AAC trial. 1 must be a literacy or reading activity. 1 activity is team chosen. Many teams choose morning meeting or another type of social activity. The 3rd activity should be something that is highly motivating for the student, whether it is lunchtime, free choice, or time to go home. Please note that speech therapy does not happen every day. Speech cannot be a chosen activity. Speech therapy data is considered extra. Your provided data sheet looks like this. You will have 1 data sheet per activity per week. There are rows for each day of the week with columns at the end for tracking the type of cue required for each target. There is a key at the bottom detailing the symbol to write for each cue. For example, you would write in a plus for independent and an I for indirect. We will be taking data while implementing our least to most prompting hierarchy and recording which level of prompting was necessary to elicit a response. As a review, we always start with the least amount of prompting or a natural cue and slowly add more support, being sure to provide the student with plenty of time to process between prompts. Take a look at this example. The communication partner is targeting want from the student. They move through the chain of cues, increasing support 1 level at a time until the response is received from the student. This would be 1 data point and would be recorded on the data sheet. As you can see, we have the data sheet set up so that the communication partner can take data each day of the week. The data sheet is intended to cover 1 activity that is completed each day. The target is written in the large box with the type of cue listed on the right. In this example, D was recorded because the student required a direct cue. As the activity progresses and the week progresses, the data sheet will become filled in. As you can see, the data collector noted the type of activity the student was participating in, as well as the target, then filled in the individual data points with the type of cue required for each trial. There are 10 spaces for 10 trials. Notes provide additional information. It would be important to note if the student was not feeling well that day or if a new setting was introduced, as this can impact student performance. How will you know if there is progress? You can analyze the data. Make sure that the team communicates with one another, especially if there are multiple people taking data throughout the day. Within your team, you should be determining solutions and making changes. If you feel that you need to change the settings on the device, including the amount of words on the page, please contact your AAC itinerant before doing so. How will the ATRC determine if there's progress? We review the collected information, including the trial plan and the data sheets. Data will be submitted every 2 weeks. At the end of the trial period, the teacher and speech pathologist will be required to submit narratives regarding the trial and device use. The main question we are asking is, how did this system improve your students' communication? What can they do now that they couldn't do before? Keep in mind while completing the trial and analyzing the data. If you need more support, please do not hesitate to reach out to your AAC itinerant. We would much prefer to hear from you early on in the trial than have 4 weeks go by and realize that data was not taken with fidelity. In conclusion, we use data to inform our decisions on device allocation as well as to determine goals and progress. Teams are responsible for collecting data during the AAC trial for submission. However, data should be an ongoing, dynamic process for all students. Reach out to your AAC itinerant for further information and support.